Hello, everyone, and welcome in to another episode of Insider Gaming Weekly, a video game podcast. I am Mike Straw, one of the senior editors here at Insider Gaming, joined, as always, by my co-senior editor, Grant Taylor Hill, and senior producer, A to the P, Albert Perkins. Guys, it's been another week. We picked up. Last week was a slower week. This week's kind of fluttering. We got a lot to talk about, but how are you guys feeling today? How's everything going?
It's not bad. It's been a mixed week. We've taken the good with the bad this week, I think. And there's not been anything like super groundbreaking, apart from a couple of pieces that we'll talk about, but nothing like monumental. And we still, this is a random tidbit, but it popped into my mind. We still don't have anything on GTA 6. I don't know why, but I just suddenly thought, I'm still waiting for that. We've never discussed that. We're not going to. So
we've never talked about
know
GTA
anything.
Yeah, we haven't.
Yeah, we don't know anything. AP, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to this podcast as always. Man, it's been a long week once again. For my 9 to 5, my Monday through Friday. I'm looking forward to talking some gamings with you guys, talking some gaming and getting into this.
There's a lot to talk about. Basically, there's one major story we'll talk about. Then we have a couple things. And then there's something that came up yesterday that we started. And by yesterday, we're recording this on Thursday evening, on Wednesday, that we started to get into a little debate in the Discord about, and that's going to be the topic of the key conversation. But before we get into all of that and what we're going to talk about, we start off the way we start off everything, is what you guys been playing. AP, we're going to start with you because we're going to go to Grant, and he's got some comments on a game that was under embargo that he couldn't really talk about just yet. But AP, we'll start with you. Are you still in Final Fantasy land?
Oh, I'm still in Final Fantasy land, Mike, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it, man. I'm like 20 hours in now, bro. I'm like locked the F in right now. It's so freaking great. Loving every second of it. The story's like I've been saying it the last 2 weeks, but the story is absolutely incredible, man. It's really been picking up. I'm trying to remember. I think I got to Corel. Yeah, I just got to Corel in the game. If you guys have played the game, obviously you know where that is. And so, yeah, like I said, things are really picking up there. And I'm just excited to see where this is going to end up going. Obviously, I already know since I've played Final Fantasy VII before, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it translates in Rebirth. It's going to be phenomenal, bro.
I bet you it looks prettier.
Oh, my God.
It's not as blocky.
Not as blocky. Yeah, not as much. Yeah. A couple more pixels. Just a couple.
Two, literally just 2 more pixels. See, all I've been playing before we get to Grant, all I've been playing is 2 Point Museum. The review threw that up on Tuesday. We had the review go live at insider-gaming.com. I am in love with that game. I love management sims and those types of any city building management sim like that. And 2 Point Museum does it so well. And then I find out, so I published a review. I put up an editor's note on the review because one of the things that was really bothered me was I couldn't expand the buildings. They're like, no, you can go into the building editor. I went into the building editor. It still wasn't there. There's an update for the game. I updated it. I go in, like a pre-launch update. I go in, and now it was working perfectly fine. I'm like, okay, so it was just a little bug that came before. It doesn't change my thought on the game. The game was, insta-buy if you're into management, building sims and stuff like that. Like in a heartbeat. They have taken that formula, the 2 Point Studios, they've taken from campus to hospital to campus to now museum, and the museum's the best of the 3. Just because the idea, the mockery of loot box mechanics is hilarious to me. It's this obnoxious over the top animation that you see in all these terrible games that just live off loot boxes, and it's fantastic. And then you have bees that attack customer, everything just perfect humor. Beautiful art style. It's a fun game. And I don't know if I'm going to switch off anything. Usually I move on to something else after review. This has me hooked right now. I think I'm about 60 hours in to playing this game at night because it works great on my Steam Deck. So before I go to bed, I'll lay in bed for 2 hours instead of sleeping like I should. And I'll play that. All right, man. Grant. What are you playing? But most importantly, there's a game that embargo, you had something drop today while we were recording, Splitgate 2. Can you tell us?
You know what? Flipping back really quick to what you were saying there as well. Like, I was the same with Stalker 2, and I was the same with Kingdom Come. Did the review, and I was like, I am nowhere. I think at the end of my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 review, I literally said, like, I'm nowhere near done with my journey yet. I'm going back to do all the side content and stuff. And I love that too when you
Yeah.
talk about like you noticed this thing wasn't there, and then you got it, you raised it to them, and then they did like a pre-launch patch. I had the same thing, like with Stalker, for example. Those guys were working so hard at patching up everything for launch, that they obviously said, like, if you find anything, let us know and we'll see if it's a known error or whatever. And I think there was like one or two things where I raised it to them, because I do that. I'm a helpful guy. If I come across something when I'm reviewing it, I'll say, hey guys, heads up, I've just found this thing, free QA. So I did, and they were like, oh, this is actually new. We haven't seen this yet. This is a new thing. And then it was there for the day one patch. So I made Stalker 2 better for everyone, which is, a little aside there. But yes, Splitgate 2. So
Everybody email Grant at insider-gaming.com and tell him thank you.
yeah, that's it.
Hit him up on Twitter at @newcov_ and just
Oh,
say
we'll get
thank
to
you.
that. We'll
for
get to
making,
that.
Thank you for making Stalker 2 what it is today. Because without you, that one thing
you never
would
know.
not exist.
You never know. It could be the difference between a 9 and a 10. So yeah, I played Splitgate 2, as you say. I actually got my hands on the alpha that everyone should be playing as of 4 hours ago as we record this, because it went live. I don't know what time it is for you guys. 5 p.m. my time. The servers went live. For the first crossplay alpha for Splitgate 2. So I got to play it a few weeks back with the developers. They invited me in, and a bunch of other guys. They invited us in to just play the game with the devs, which is always really cool.
Nice.
But we also had a sit down with the CEO of 1047 Games, and he walked us through everything from like monetization to the future of like the competitive side of the game, like esports. And we looked at things like the content pipeline and what the guys are doing to just keep it stoked a lot further this time, because they were really transparent. And they said the biggest issue with Splitgate was that people would come in, short-term retention was great, but after a few weeks, everyone faded away because there wasn't anything to chase. There wasn't anything to, it wasn't drip fed. So they've thrown out that rule book and they brought in a whole new like game sheet for this one. And it's really cool. Free to play FPS, as you guys probably know. It's inspired heavily by Halo and Portal. Imagine those two combined, where you've got your traditional sci-fi FPS with the unique innovation of having portals that you can deploy at spots throughout the map. So you can really turn a battle up on its head by using portals, slipping through one, coming out another spot where people, or you can predict people coming through their portals and shoot through. And it's crazy. Messes with my head a bit, but it's really cool. The pacing's great. Played really nice, even in alpha, played really nice. And the whole big thing they're doing with this game is a 24-player multi-team mode, which is like Halo's big team battle, which again is great. It's really cool. It's ambitious. And I think that Splitgate does feel really fresh and unique. And I'm allowed to say that now, because up until 5 p.m. my time today, I couldn't say that because I was under embargo. But now I can say, yeah, it's great. I had a blast, and I can't wait for the full game to come out. Release date pending, but it's really good.
You brought up Splitgate 1, and just there was nothing to keep people hooked.
Yeah.
We've seen that time and time again with games, though. We saw it. X-Defiant. X-Defiant is right now the most recent huge example. Came out like a bat out of hell. Everybody was playing it. Really good, really fun. And then quickly it was like, well, there's nothing to do. There's literally nothing there. They can't keep up. Are you kind of, from what you've played, do you think there's that, obviously you never know until it's fully launched, but how confident would you put your thoughts on, will they be able to avoid this happening with them?
I think so. I do think so. Like, you could tell they're like critically aware of where they fell short with the first game, and it's so community led as well. So that's why doing things like this alpha really pays off, and the whole like behind the scenes playtest, it really pays off because they're just taking direct feedback and they know 100%. I think one of the quotes that we took is that like they're talking about innovating on gameplay and not monetization. Like, they're not interested in like making as much obviously they want to make money out of the game, but what they want is they want to have a satisfied player base that keeps coming back time and time again. They want to have that hook baited for as long as possible, and we're talking things like limited time events and seasons, traditional battle pass structure, skins, camos that you can chase as well, all the traditional trappings of an FPS, like a live servicey kind of FPS. But I could really see it. I could really see it going somewhere. The struggle is these days, I think, with a game like Splitgate 2, not to take any credit from the guys, because they've done a fantastic job. 1047 have done a really good job. And I think they said that they've gone from a team of like 10 on the first game to something like 200 people. Like, it's swollen, it's huge. But I think, to give them credit, there are a lot of new FPSs is coming out these days, and it is how many of them stick around, So real hand on
Yeah.
heart, real
Yeah.
real hope that Splitgate 2 manages to do something. But they have kind of stressed take each day as it comes. We talked about esports. They said, we don't know. We'd love it to become an esports title, but we're not going to force it. It's not a priority. If it happens, it happens. And I think that's quite a good approach
That's a good
to kind of
approach.
take,
Yeah.
because you can't buy that audience. A couple of other games have done it. What was the one that came out recently? Man, the one that was like back to like crypto or something. It was like a battle royale, and you had these augmentations, like you'd pick up like limbs and stuff. Can't remember what it's called.
I'm
But
blanking on it, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, they just came out of the blue and they were like, "Oh, we're going to do like an esports event, and we're going to bring all these creators and pro players in, and we're going to give like a big prize pool and stuff." And you haven't heard anything about the game since, because you can't just buy that. So that's why Splitgate 2, take it easy, see what happens, see how it comes. I can see it doing really well at launch. I think the alpha's going okay as well, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like you talk about the esports, we've seen that just so many times. Games coming out and trying to overpromise, underdeliver, rather than the other way around. And trying to just do too much. And
Yeah.
my hope is that the more you go with how things are right now, you'll see these lessons learned, and they'll actually learn. Those making the decisions will actually learn the lessons of the doomed games, I guess, that have come beforehand.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it works out, because we need more fun games, like games that just try, even if they're somewhat similar to what we already have, that try one or two things different to what we like. I mean, we've talked about it before. Marvel Rivals came out of, I mean, it didn't really come out of nowhere. It's a Marvel game. We expected to do decent, but with how good it did, it forced Blizzard to change things up with Overwatch. And I think Overwatch is better because of it right now. It's getting more people coming to play, not as much as they probably like, but it's still improving regularly. But this is what we need. These types of games, if more competition comes out that actually works, it's better for all of us, especially with the state of, AAA gaming at this point.
And
Okay.
I don't want to drag it out, but one last note on that, the Marvel Rivals thing as well. We talk about people trying to force the esports things down people's throat. What they've done there is Marvel Rivals has come out with so much potential that it's the other way around. You've got organizations coming in saying, we want a piece of this, rather than the developer or the publisher saying, we want you to be a piece of this. Like, it's the organizations that are saying, we want to invest in this game. We want to build an esports ecosystem here, rather than developers saying, we'll give you $50,000 in a tournament. Just come and play. So Marvel Rivals, give it credit. It's doing a good job with that.
Exactly. But now we need to move on to the news. And before we do that, as always, make sure you are subscribed to Insider Gaming Weekly. Wherever you get your favorite podcasts, you can subscribe to the show if you just want the video on YouTube, youtube.com/InsiderGamingIG, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, wherever. Also, we have a weekly newsletter that you should subscribe to. Over 43,000 people are now subscribed to the Insider Gaming newsletter that goes out every Tuesday. We're constantly improving it, constantly making it better, more user-friendly for any client, and adding more features, including upcoming releases, things you need to know, exclusive columns, exclusive news. So go subscribe to that at insider-gaming.com/subscribe. But now we got to move on to the news of the week. And the biggest story of the week, without a doubt, came out of the blue earlier, and that was on Tuesday, when it was announced, first reported by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, and then it came out just shortly after that Warner Brothers Games was canceling Wonder Woman and shutting down multiple studios, including Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers San Diego. This news, I don't want to say it was shocking, but it's still, when the hammer dropped on this, Schreier reported it. It started going out. I reached out immediately to Warner Brothers. They sent the same statement to me that they sent to Kotaku and all these other outlets, but all pointed to prior discussions of and announcements that they're going to focus on Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, and Batman, basically. So we lose
Wow.
the Wonder Woman game that had been in trouble. It'd been reported. It'd been restarted in late last year sometime last year in 2024. That's shut down. Monolith Productions, who was developing it, gone. Nearly 30 years gone. Player First Games, the developer of Multiverses, they announced in January Multiverses is down, ending in May. We didn't know what was going to happen with them. Player First was acquired by Warner Brothers right before Multiverses was relaunched last summer. And now, after one game and less than a year of being a subsidiary, they're gone. And then Warner Brothers San Diego, a mobile free-to-play focused developer, they're gone. And before we get into a discussion about it, I want to read part of their statement on this, because Warner Brothers said, quote, "We've had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones. After careful consideration, we're closing 3 of our development studios. This is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent consists within them. And the development of Monolith's Wonder Woman video game will not move forward. Our hope was to give players and fans the highest quality experience possible for the iconic character, and unfortunately, this is no longer possible within our strategic priorities." It goes on longer than that. Again, the link will be in the descriptions. You can check it out at Insider-Gaming. But start with you, Grant. This news all drops. A major game is gone. 3 studios, more layoffs, almost 1,500 known. We don't know the job totals fully for this, have an idea, have the estimates, but that's 3 studios gone in just a tumultuous era. What came to mind first when this came out?
I think at this point we're starting to get a little bit desensitized to it. As obviously it's always awful news when it hits. And I've been there myself. I'm pretty sure most of most of the people I know have been in a similar situation to some extent. And it's obviously awful for everyone involved, but we are starting to get to a point now, and obviously, we might touch upon this a little bit later on as well, where it's just, we're talking about memes. It's another one, and I think you're kind of becoming numb to it. So with Warner Brothers, we knew that they were kind of WB Games. We knew they were having issues.
Big time.
It's all about efficiencies. It's all about cost cutting. It's all about streamlining. And from a business perspective, I can't say it doesn't make sense for them to kind of put their eggs in a tighter basket and focus on what makes them money. Obviously, like Harry Potter, for example, Hogwarts Legacy, one of the biggest games in the last couple of years. That makes sense. They're gonna do that. They had like Suicide Squad bombed. I think the Quidditch Champions thing bombed a bit. And like you say, Wonder Woman was rebooted. I think they had issues with the Nemesis system, which is now locked. by WB.
We'll talk on that in a minute too.
Yeah, so we got that to talk about as well. So it makes sense. But I think the whole like shipping out Wonder Woman is a bit odd, because from what I understand, it was coming along. Like I saw on social media, I have a quote here from a Gail Simone, he's a comic writer with credits with DC, Marvel, WB. She explained that she was working as a consultant on Wonder Woman, and in her words, she was saying the game was gorgeous and expansive, and it had Wonder Woman and DC lore in every aspect of the game. And she was saying it was fantastic. It was really, really good. So I don't know if we'll ever see how far along it got. But issues or no,
something will leak.
Something will come
it always
out.
Does.
Yeah,
it always does.
Issues or no, 100%. It always
100%.
seems weird when something has been in development for so long and it just gets knocked on the head. I've never really cared much for DC. I'm more of a Marvel guy, but it's never nice seeing projects scrapped entirely.
And I mean, Wonder Woman. Before we get to you, AP, Wonder Woman's first announced in 2021. It had been in development for a couple years before that. So we are at 6-7 years without hearing a thing about it. So obviously I get why eventually you have to pull the plug, especially if after so long you're rebooting the game. It just sucks because we lost a great studio and just losing that Nemesis system.
Yeah.
Because they have it under lock and key for a patent until 2036. You think the executives, AP, start with you on this. Do you think the executives even give a damn that they have this widely praised system from the Shadow of War series?
I mean, probably. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, I think about this, just the whole situation itself. it's just a shame about this game getting shut down and all the games that we've gone through over the past year and a half, 2 years essentially that it's been. And obviously our thoughts they go out to those developers, everyone else on the team who's lost their jobs, were let go. It's like I said, it's just a sad and reoccurring theme in this industry right now. And it just seems like there's no end in sight. Like you were saying, Grant, like it just kind of becomes the studio of the week, who's going to be leading layoffs this week, every single week, man. Like for
it's not even
52
it's not even just every single week, it's every day in the data.
Yeah,
So I collect
yeah.
the data. Like obviously you guys know I collect all
Yeah.
this data, I go through it, I
Mhm.
track locations and everything. Like we are at
You should create a site off of that, man. Like
there
honestly.
is.
Oh,
There is.
oh, really?
There is.
I did not know this.
Gaminglayoffs.com.
Wow. Wow.
39 companies so far have had layoffs that we know of.
Mm.
13 no numbers lost. 1,338 people. If we look at the estimates for the jobs that we don't have, I don't have like the public information yet. I have like FOIA requests out for a number of studios that haven't put this out. We're
Mhm.
probably at about 1,700 so far this year. Not at the pace we were last year, where at this point we had about 7,000 because of big layoffs at Unity and Microsoft by now.
Mhm.
Last year we
Yeah.
had just under 15,000 known and about 17,000 estimate across 180 plus companies. So this year, like the company total, we are
many.
well above pace for. The amount we are under pace, but we're still looking at another, 10,000 plus layoff year if things continue this way. And it sucks. It doesn't matter whether it's, the NetEase team laying off an entire team working on Marvel Rivals. And I don't want to get too far into that because we'll talk about that soon, but
Right.
it just seems
Yeah.
you say every week there's something. It's every other day.
Yeah.
We are
You're
averaging
right.
a layoff in the industry at least every 2 days. So
But I think it is again really important to stress. It's not all industries, but it is more or less a global thing right now.
Yeah.
Especially across technology. I saw in the news the other day that the Technicolor, one of the oldest like cinematography, I think they were companies, founded something over more 100 years ago, can't sustain, so they've had to shut their doors. Crazy when you see something like that go down. Like it's all, we talk about studios being stood up and closing down within a couple of years, but when something that is 100 years old just says can't do it, got to give it up, terrible.
And before we move on to the next topic, so Monolith formed in 94, shut down. It had been owned by Warner Brothers since 2004. Warner Brothers Games has been going through this tumultuous time. You brought up Suicide Squad bombing. Like
Mhm.
the David Haddad, who has been with Warner Brothers the last 12 years in the games division, Warner Brothers he's a Warner Brothers Interactive president. He's leaving the company this spring. That was announced not too long ago. A lot of the people, and rightfully, wrongly so, whatever your opinion is, you can have it, are pointing to decisions made by him leading the company that is screwing, like putting all the eggs in the. Did anybody ask for a Suicide Squad game? No, I don't think anybody really cared for a Suicide Squad game. No one cared for the Suicide Squad movies, and it's the focus now. Now they're gonna go. We're gonna focus on Game of Thrones, which has been beaten to that dead horse has been beaten so much. Like it's might work, it might not. Harry Potter, they hit lightning. They got lightning in a bottle with Hogleg, and even with all the controversy surrounding, J.K. Rowling being what she is, they did so well with that. Continues to be in the top 20 selling games every month.
Wow.
Working on the definitive edition, Harry Potter 2. But Mortal Kombat, I get they're focused on that, but Combat Pack 2 and that expansion did so poor that they canceled Combat Pack 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like they canceled another story expansion. And then they want to go back to Batman, which we're probably like talks of Rocksteady getting back to Batman have been going on for months, but we're still probably years, maybe 4 or 5 years away from seeing another Batman game. Right now, I'm not going to say they're in an Ubisoft situation, but there's also been reports of and rumors of Warner Brothers trying to sell off their games division entirely. Do you think that this could lead to them finally saying, we got to get out.
It very well
Potentially,
could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it very well could be the beginning of that. I honestly hope not, but signs kind of point to that. You kind of put all of your eggs in one basket. I know you guys were mentioning that. That's a big risk. Your studio, sort of gets known for those set games that you have all your eggs in. I mean, yeah, it might not necessarily be a bad thing if you think about it for studios like,
So like
Rockstar and
Rockstar with
everything.
GTA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, it might work out, but it's a big risk, man. It's a really, really big risk. And I don't know if I'd want to take it.
Story number 2. This one, it's not as depressing as that story or what we'll probably talk about soon. Delta Force Black Hawk Down. I've been playing it. And not just this one either.
You did that joke last week.
I did.
You've actually.
Oh,
okay.
I had to make a callback to it. Not
I'll
just
let
that
you
one, but I've been playing the campaign, and people have their thoughts. Black Hawk Down campaign launched last Friday, and Grant, you put the story up at insidergaming.com. Out of 3,406 reviews at the time of the writing, only 35% were positive, because people are complaining that the campaign is too hard. And some of these comments were unnecessarily difficult. Played it with a 2-man crew, and the last level is basically impossible. Poorly optimized, enemy spawning right on top of you, and plainly unfun to play, feels like a chore. And then another one said, so many stupid choices that hold back what could be really cool, if not short, single-player shooter experience. I've been playing the campaign. Do I find it difficult? I find it challenging. I don't find it, me and a group of friends go in, I don't find it being, impossible like they say.
Did you play it solo?
No, it's not made to play. To me, it's not made to play solo.
But this was one of the
You can,
USPs
but
of it was that it's your single player element for Delta Force, which is an inherent multiplayer game. That was one of the USPs. They were saying you can go solo and re-experience. I don't know what you'd want to. You can re-experience the Battle of Mogadishu.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I guess like you can go in, but that's the thing. That they technically you still can go in solo. I haven't, because I've just been playing with the group of people who I play with. We are all in on it. So, but maybe if I go in, I'll have a completely different opinion. But I don't know if it's just a case of, people, the challenging, just you're used to it with games, say like, the Souls series, where it's going to be ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why people are just upset about this, is that they weren't expecting this.
Yeah, that's fair, because I mean it's a arcadey shooter online. Like, it resembles Battlefield 2042. I actually did an article like a year ago where it was like
Looks better.
Where it was like Delta Force is the best Battlefield game I've played in years. That was like the headline for it. But I mean, it's not just the difficulty thing, but people are saying like there's design flaws in there that just seem to exist to make it harder. And it's supposed to be realistic, but one of the complaints that I saw is that you can't pick up anything. You can't get any more ammo, any weapons, healing items, nothing like that. Once they're gone, they're gone. It's obviously a one life thing. Checkpoint systems are few and far between, if any at all. Movement mechanics like sprinting fundamentals are limited. Enemies spawn endlessly for no reason. Someone said RPGs and enemy snipers are almost magnetic. Like, no matter what you do, they're on you. Yeah, like I said, almost impossible to play solo, which is always a bummer when you want to play something, but you can't unless you've got friends, and then no one else plays that game, so you're kind of locked out, and it's not of your own accord.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing always rankles with me a bit. But I have to hold my hand up and say that I've not played it. But the numbers that you gave for the reviews, they have improved ever so slightly. It's now 37% positive.
Oh, snap.
Let's
out
go.
of 4,100 reviews. So it's gone up a little bit, but not by
Those are the
much.
people who are good and saying, get good.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what those people are saying. I know one thing people are upset about is it doesn't seem to scale difficulty, whether you're playing solo, 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. I feel like that's going to be something that has to be addressed. The scalable difficulty, it can't be a one size fit all. But I feel, again, this is all an early access game. It's not like it's a full release yet. So it's got to be something that they're looking at. There's no doubt. I did reach out to them. I haven't heard back. But I did reach out to Team Jade just about after you posted that article about
Mm.
whether or not like what the plans are to address this. Haven't heard back yet. So maybe after this episode, that's what'll be my luck. Tonight while this is getting edited, that's when I'll get the email back.
Yeah.
3 days later saying, "Hey, we know, we're looking at it," blah, even if it's
Mhm.
just like your standard like we hear you, we see you type of, spiel.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. I didn't know if we were going to cover the story, but we got a couple. We're good on time because it's an interesting one. Before we get to trivia and then bringing in Tom a bit early ahead of ahead of it, the rumors, we're going to talk about Sony being sued for what is being called artificially high prices on the PlayStation Store. It was revealed that a Dutch consumer group has filed a class action lawsuit against Sony that alleges that Sony is intentionally keeping prices on the PlayStation Store artificially high and abusing a position of power by preventing players from buying digital versions of PS4 and PS5 games elsewhere. It's not the first time we've seen this type of lawsuit happen or seen this type of complaint. So we're just going to talk about it quickly. AP, I'll start with you. The idea of these stores kind of forcing you, like Steam, you can buy a Steam code and enter it anywhere. That's the benefit of PC, the beauty of PC gaming.
Mhm.
You haven't been able to really do that with the console digital storefront. As we move to mostly digital, you're kind of seeing what you're seeing with the complaints for Apple and Android now move over into the console front. AP, do you think this has any chance of going anywhere and leading to any sort of change?
I don't think so. I mean, it feels like this Dutch consumer group is the only group that's actually kind of complaining about this. They're the only one that's actually spoken out about it. Have you heard anybody else say anything about this? This is the
People have
first-
complained about it online quite a bit,
Okay.
but never anything official. This is the first thing, maybe, Grant, maybe you have something that I've seen officially come in.
Okay.
The finger of truth. Yeah. So one
Yeah.
thing is there's that in the UK at the moment, a couple of years back, hold on to your hats, folks. A
Okay.
£5 billion lawsuit, class action, right? Which is something like $6.5 billion. I think it was November 2023. We covered this on Insider Gaming. I don't know what's happening to it now because the last I could find on documentation was last year when things were shaping up. So I don't know if it's fizzled out or if it's still ongoing. But that was against Sony for high prices on the PlayStation Store. But that was centered in the UK, whereas this one is located specifically in the Netherlands. But they've been there. Apparently, there's something going on in Portugal as well. Like people want they don't want to be paying so much, and they want to sue people for having to pay much. So
How
See,
I
you
don't
said
think
that amount. You said that
Yeah.
amount. It doesn't even make me bat an eye because you got to remember, Russia's suing Google for 2 undecillion rubles, which is about 20 billion trillion million
oh
dollars.
my god.
And I hate the fact that I'm not making that up. Like, I'm not making that up at all.
I wonder
But-
how their consoles are coming along. Russia, Putin was like, you guys got to go out and make some consoles to rival PlayStation and Microsoft and Xbox. I wonder how they're coming along right now.
I bet you they're not.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
They want to make their own games and everything as well. Oh man.
Yeah, I
nightmare.
mean, that happens. That's more likely. We've already seen that happen.
What are
Yeah.
the resolutions of those cases, Grant? Are they still ongoing, or what's?
Well, this is the thing, right? So they've got the Netherlands one now is quite new, quite recent, and I think it was only recently that they actually notified Sony saying, "Hey guys, we plan to take this action against you," and they're obviously trying to pull in as many people as possible to strengthen the case. But it's part and parcel of it now, like the digital thing. Like people set their prices, and obviously they're always going to be high. I think one thing that I've seen being increasingly digital, like my PlayStation is digital. I haven't bought a disc-based game in years. Obviously, prices stay high like forever. You'll go and buy a new game in like 10 years, and it's still the same price. And you're like, how does that make sense?
Especially if you're Nintendo.
Especially with Nintendo, because because you look at, even if you want to go like buy Breath of the Wild or something, it's still like 50 quid, 50 pounds. Sorry, I can't use colloquialisms. So yeah, I think it's a real indicator of what we've got to look forward to, and also the arguments came in on the same note of like how even though the prices are really high, you still don't actually own anything. You're just buying a license to play that game. And then a tertiary argument to that is that when the PlayStation Network goes down, you can't play any of those digital games. So there's another branch to it, you know? I think
Yeah.
That's
When
true.
would
That's
but
true.
PSN never goes down?
it never goes
Oh,
down for
man.
18
It is
hours.
not-
So
I
that
I can't
that's
remember the
why.
last time it went down.
It's time now. It's time now to bring in a bit earlier than usual without a nagging cough, it seems, this week. Feeling better. The one and only Tom Henderson. Tom,
I'm doing good, no cough this time. Oh yeah, but I'm going to GDC in a few weeks, so I'm probably going to get it again.
Round
Oh
two.
yeah. Nah, you'll come home from, you won't get it from San Francisco, I don't think. Vegas is a cesspool of disease. San Fran, I think
Well,
you'll be okay. I think
is
you'll
San
be
Fran
okay.
just like a stab wound or a gunshot or no?
No,
No,
San Fran's
I've
nice.
heard different.
They're gonna put,
I've heard that it.
Political.
I don't know. I've been there. It's nice. They put ranch on everything.
Oh.
It's weird. At least last time I was there, everybody's like, "Do you want California sauce?" I'm like, "Sure." What is it? And then I go to this one sub place. They put California sauce on it, and I take a bite. I'm like, "It's ranch, like with extra seasoning. It's just ranch. Just call it ranch." But no, got to be different. We brought you in early before any rumors. Because there's a topic, people liked the graphics debate last week. So we have another one that kind of stemmed from a LinkedIn post from a CEO of a studio that's going through layoffs, where to me insinuated that they were somewhat pointing some of the blame at media coverage for why studios are struggling. My immediate view was that, you know, if you're a CEO of a studio that just had to let go of people, you probably shouldn't point fingers other than back at yourself, since you're the one leading the company. But I get into that in a second. So the topic of this that we're going to talk about is how much does the games media play in the role of the current struggles with studios, whether it be layoffs, games success, and things like that. And Tom, since you just hopped in, I'll let you start off with your thoughts on that, because I'm going to end up being the one that debates all of you.
I mean, to be honest, this is the reason. One of the reasons why I wanted to jump in early is because I didn't necessarily see it like that. I don't think he insinuated that it was games journalists' fault for games failing. But I wanted to jump in to kind of explain that gaming journalism is struggling probably more than the gaming industry now. And as someone who owns a business, right, Insider Gaming is a business. I am a journalist as well, but I also own a business. I'm in a pretty unique spot to explain probably like why it's struggling, why the games industry is struggling, and why we don't necessarily cover every story that's out there. And this is a very multi-layered topic that we could probably talk on for hours, but it stems basically from the fact that there just isn't enough hours in the day for us to cover every single piece of news. I think there was 19,000 Steam games alone last year or something like that. So already, just from a pure standpoint of game coverage, we can't cover what would it be, 60, 70 games a year or something? A day, sorry. We simply cannot cover that. And this is a conversation that I was having with a few PR agencies at DICE, and I'm assuming that I'm going to have similar conversations at GDC. But the way that the current PR system works is that PR companies are being paid, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 by game developers to help promote the game. And all we're getting on our end is a generic embargoed email. Now, that presents a few problems, right? First of all, our inboxes are flooded. It's impossible to find I'm doing like in air quotations, like the good stuff, right? Thank you, Grant. It's hard to find the good stuff, and then also that it's so generic, and the way that it's done is that on our end we're covering the exact same bit of information at the exact same time as everybody else in the industry, so we're just cannibalizing one another. having a PR email sent to us that says, "Hey, we've got this game that's going to be announced on, I don't know, let's just say March 12th at 4 p.m. BST." Having the entire industry cover that news at that exact same point does nothing for anyone. First of all, a lot of these big websites probably post a new piece every 4 to 5 minutes, news piece, so it's just going to get buried. The smaller sites who have perhaps a more streamlined way of doing things and a more focused way of doing things, just simply because there isn't enough money to do a widespread amount of coverage, it just cannibalizes the information that we can put out. And the point that he was saying is, oh, you only cover layoffs. Well, the truth is that negative, not, I wouldn't say negative, but like information like that generally does a lot better because of those reasons that I've just outlined with the PR emails and so on. Because if a website can get to that information a lot faster because they're not embargoed or anything like that, it's more of a race, right? Whereas if it's embargoed, it's more so just the cannibalization that I was talking about. But when it's the more I'm using the term hot off the press, which is a bit ironic, but when it's that kind of way of doing things where like, then all right, shit, a journalist now needs to do what a journalist should be doing, is investigating a story, trying to get a story out there as accurate and as quickly as possible. That's when that information thrives, and it's not necessarily doing well because it's negative news, but more so because it's not being cannibalized by the entire industry with following embargo dates and all of that kind of nonsense. So it's a very multi-layered debate that, like I said, I think we can talk for hours on it, but unfortunately we don't have that luxury of time.
See, I don't. The over, I mean, we're basically we're inundated with emails, like you said, every single day. I mean, today alone, I'm trying to start where, like, when games are announced, we have it at Insider Gaming, and we're gonna start like everything and have them actually reach out and say, hey, we announced this in case you missed it, because there's so many. It doesn't matter how big or how small, things are gonna fall through the cracks. And what I took a problem with, I think, the most is the whole, if you don't cover us at our best, you can't cover us at our worst. It's like, well, at the end of the day, too, we, like you brought up being a business person, we need more people are going to read the story about what happened to a studio than, hey, here's the next update coming to your game, and here's 4 patch notes that, like you said, everybody gets at the same time. Like the getting, especially when a game is in development or comes out, the news is so few and far between. Like, it's like you announce a game, everybody covers that when it's announced. Now 7 months go by and you don't hear a thing. Like, it's going to be forgotten about by a lot of small companies. Admittedly, I mean, we're not, everybody knows who follows us, we're not the largest media outlet. We're one of the best, the best, in my opinion, but we're not the largest in terms of manpower. We don't have a staff of 60 writers. It's us. And then we got Scott and Sanchez. Like, we got all these people who are doing great work, and Andy, but there's only at
7 or 8.
There's only so many hours.
7 or 8 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, on to the point of, like, you can't cover, if you can't cover us at our best, you can't do it at our worst. On that I mean, that just dates back to what I was saying about the embargoes and the PR and all that kind of stuff. But also, like, what has he done to give journalists opportunities to cover their games? Because I don't know anything about the guy or the games, to be honest. But I imagine that it's very little. I don't imagine that he's reached out to any journalist and said something like, hey, we've got a unique opportunity for you to come down to the studio and interview some of our developers and that kind of stuff. But, like, it's one of those weird situations where I think that everyone needs to kind of just start speaking to one another. We all, like, I've gone through the whole like, oh, games media is bad and all that kind of stuff myself, like a few years ago, right? But now being actively involved in it and seeing the hard work that not only that everyone sat here does, but the entire industry as a whole, journalists do some pretty hard work. And I know there's a lot of memes out there like, oh, you do sit on your ass all day and play games, which is true to a certain extent, but you're only seeing the end product. You're not seeing the hundreds of emails that go into a story. You're not seeing in some instances, like 18 hours of travel to DICE that I did a couple of weeks ago to get the skill-based matchmaking story. Like, people are not seeing this stuff. And in order for us to progress as an industry, that we just need to start speaking to one another a bit more. And that doesn't apply to just like outlets to PR and PR to devs and outlets to devs and stuff like that. But even just like the media industry in general, like we need to just sit down and think of ways of working together and just communicating with one another instead of just trying to seclude one another. It doesn't make sense, especially when you've got an industry now where it's run by 3 to 4 major corporations, right? Where there is no independent media hardly, and I don't understand the mentality of not helping one another. And I think we could do some real cool shit if we work together. Like the Insider Gamer magazine, like if we're working on something really cool there, and we're going to get some independent media outlets involved. We're going to help them with, obviously, financially to some degree, but also just that collaboration is going to go a long way. And I think just overall, that's something we need more of, is just that conversation between one another. A bit of a tangent there, I just realised, but hey.
It's nice that it's not me.
Yeah.
I was just carried on rambling. I was looking at the screen. I was like, I need to shut up now. But yeah, I don't want to carry on rambling, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like we're just at this weird crossroads where if nothing changes, like the media industry in particular, I mean, I'm going off on a media industry tangent, but it's followed the same path for the best part of 2 decades, and it clearly isn't sustainable anymore, and there isn't much room left to carry on doing the way that we're doing it. So yeah, that's the way that I feel about it all. Maybe we'll have a bigger discussion with. I'd like to do a roundtable or something with PR and media and stuff. I think something like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's a whole thing. Yeah, the media industry needs to change. And I think one of the replies to it, I can't remember who commented directly and said this. It's the fact of when you look at the games media industry, it's like they brought up basically the cannibalization of it. It's like we can only cover so much, and we have to do what's best ultimately.
Yeah.
Just like you guys got to do what's best for your studio, we have to do what's best for the people who work for us to even be around next month.
No.
Like admittedly, like transparency's sake, writing a 300-word article that everybody else is going to write, while needed, isn't going to bring in what we need. It's all the deep dives and the digging and the interviews we have to do, and spending 6 hours chasing down one lead at least in a single day. Like that type of stuff, you don't get any return on investment for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like so I was saying about the cost to PR. It's like some of these developers are spending 20-30 grand a month for these people to just to access the database and send an email to us. Like, use that money wisely. Fly out 6 journalists from different outlets and have them sit down and do exclusive interviews with developers, and just open the doors just a little smidge. We're all dying on, like, the industry is still very secretive and shrouded by NDAs and all of that nonsense. But just open up a little bit, and I think a lot a lot of good will come of it. And I know a lot of journalists have said like programmatic ads are going down and stuff, which they are. Don't get me wrong, they're definitely going down, but I still think there is a way where if there is that unique and exclusive content to outlets, it's one of the reasons why Insider Gaming has been as successful as it has, is because we do a lot of exclusive stuff, right? And I think if the door was open to a lot of people, I mean, even including ourselves, because some of the exclusives we've done is just like transparency, is just, I don't know, getting stuff from someone that maybe shouldn't be saying it or whatever. But
Man,
but yeah, I think if developers use that money a bit more wisely, I'm not saying like don't spend on PR firms, because then that's that's having PR firms coming after us. But just opening the door a little bit more and giving those opportunities would go a hell of a long way. I don't know if Grant and Albert has anything to say, because it's been 20 minutes of me.
Yes. I tell you what, my ADHD, man, I've been chomping at the bit. I had to hold myself back this whole time. Like, don't butt in. He's the boss, don't butt in. So, like, I think it's really important to say that we can't tar everyone with the same brush, right? We know we've all worked with so many PR firms as well that are absolutely fantastic in what they do. I mean, I don't get the vibe that we're naming names, so I won't name names. But I've worked with some guys who they're reaching out to me one-on-one, with unique coverage opportunities, and they're saying, hey, we've stood up this special event. Do you want to come to it? There's only going to be a handful of people there. And we've seen exactly what you're talking about, Tom, but I will say that, yeah, on a daily basis, I'm getting so many things coming fed through where it's just like a one-off, like Mike was saying, a couple of patch notes, or, hey, we're announcing like this tiny little, skin pack or something. And it's things that it's fodder and everyone's going to cover them all at the same time. And then going back to what we're saying about how we don't have the manpower or even the sense to cover, you can't sensibly cover everything. But it's not just that. It's not just about covering everything. It's about unearthing everything. And the game that we're talking about here, the guy that said, if you don't have time to cover the good stuff, don't cover the, it's ironic that you can cover the bad stuff. It's like when that game was revealed, I gave it like a glowing little preview. I said, I can't wait. Looks great. Looks fantastic. The screenshots are great. It's colorful. It's going to be a hit. And then I heard nothing about it anywhere. And if people aren't coming to me saying, hey, do you want to see where this game is at or whatever, it's really hard in the absolute ocean of stuff that I get sent to think about, hey, that one game that was announced a year ago, I wonder what that's doing now. This one indie game, and it's really difficult unless something really, really sticks with you. So I think it's really unfair to say, isn't it, that, oh, you guys aren't covering, we released a new trailer like a month ago, no one covered it or whatever. So did you tell anyone that you're releasing? Because not everyone has the budget, I get, to sign up with one of these PR agencies and have them send the emails around. And I don't know if this particular company does either, because I've never seen anything from them come through. So maybe they don't have that avenue either. And you can't just expect coverage. You can't just think that just because it's not a build it and they will come mentality. You can't just think people are going to cover your stuff because you've got stuff that you think deserves to be covered.
Yeah.
And you add to that, like, well, where's an update? We, at least I have gone through at times and go, we haven't heard anything about this game. Let's reach out to the studio and see, or their PR, and they're like, well, we don't have any. You either get ignored or we don't have anything to share at this time. And it's like, okay, well, you try, and then you got to move. You have to move on.
Yep.
It's that kind of like, it's that you can compare it to, like, you ask this person to go out with you or to the dance, and they leave you stringing along. You finally go to somebody else, and then they get all upset that you didn't wait for them. It's
yeah,
you gotta do what
analogy.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Gaming media isn't causing these studios to suffer, but yes, admittedly, we do publicize it, right? We are responsible for making the news known, because that's our jobs. That's what we're here to do. And we can't leave this stuff in the shadows. People have to know what's going on. People have to know that X Studios just made. What do they want to do?
Yeah.
Bury it? They want to bury that they've just laid off a couple of hundred people?
That's exactly what
I think on that point as well is is when layoffs happen and stuff. Now, like I said, I don't know what happened to this particular studio, or if the story came out because a journalist got their hands on it, or whatever it was, or if it was a public statement. I don't know if anyone can weigh in there.
Public.
Yeah, so
it's
like,
public, yeah.
Even so, like the way that a lot of these layoff stories come about is because an internal layoff announcement gets announced, and then someone who's recently been laid off then approaches a journalist and says, "Hey, we've just been laid off." It's never, when it's good news, it's never a developer says to a journalist, "Oh, yeah, we're working on something really good here," because they're under NDA and they're obligated to not share that information, right? So yeah, I mean, my message to him would be if you want good games coverage and you're not using a PR agency or whatever it may be, just pull your thumb at your ass and send a few emails.
Yeah.
Like literally,
with that being said, I connected with him on LinkedIn. I'm reaching out to him, but like his game, we're not naming names. I don't know, the territory there, but his game is on Steam Next now, Steam Next Fest, and there's a demo like playable for it now. I wish I could say, we'll move on from that, but like it's there and it's up there, and I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it the fair time of day, and I'll stick with it if it takes my fancy now that I can get my hands on it, and I'll happily cover. I'll happily keep in touch,
on that point, are you like is that just because now that you're aware of it from the layoffs and from what he said, or
not even so when they showed the first trailer for it, I don't know if it was at like the Game Awards or Summer Games Fest or something, it was a couple of years back. I really liked the look of it. I thought genuinely this looks like a really cool game, and to my credit, I've got, to my detriment, I've got a memory like a sieve, so it just passed out of all sight and mind for X amount of time, because like I said, I didn't see anything about it after that, and then when the news came up, that's what triggered me to go, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So then I looked back at the past coverage and that, and then I saw that it was on Steam Next, and I was like, what happened to this game? So I'll play it and I'll see where it's at, and I'll see what they're doing with it, because they've dubbed it like the most ambitious game the studio has ever made, and it looks really innovative. And I'll happily take on board whatever they want to give, and not as like some like pity project to say, oh, you've now complained about it, so let me now cover your game, but because once upon a time, when they announced it, I was really genuinely interested, but it ran quiet. So
yeah, I think there just needs to be more communication, and we'll leave it as that. Like that,
100%.
That's the be all and end all. Is if you want your game covered, build those relationships with journalists, build it with content creators, whatever it may be, and give opportunities to cover it in unique ways. Like that's what. I'm going to use the word sells, but that's what gets the clicks, right? Is like unique coverage that nobody else has is the way forward, and that's why a lot of exclusives and stuff are all like bad news, is because it's coming from people who have probably just lost their jobs and so on. But as a journalist, it isn't their responsibility to like hide that away or whatever, or not cover it because they haven't covered the game before or whatever it may be.
No, especially like they reach out every time. Every time there's one, I get emails and messages about it, and it's kind of ironic for me, someone who's been part of layoffs at least half a dozen times. That's basically become my main beat. It's covering studios, and I go back to kind of put a bow on this. I just didn't like the fact of a CEO of a studio pointing fingers at seemingly like, rather than pointing fingers back at themselves, pointing fingers at outside.
Yeah, it was a bad look, but at the same time, like I understood the angle that he was coming at it from. But like, just I think that it should have been one of those things where like you have that conversation privately with people, and it,
or maybe somebody else from the company says it that isn't so high up.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's a good solution. But yeah, we'll see what comes from it. But
So we don't have time for rumors because we are already, well at our time that we usually.
Before we
since you're
go,
here, Tom-
can I interject? I just wanted to get a point in real quick.
Go for
on
it.
This,
Why did you just interrupt?
At the end of the day, we're in the business of reporting news. This is all about reporting news. We're in the business of it. And negative news, it's gonna happen. And it does happen to be, it performs better than positive news. And that's happens everywhere, every industry, not just in the video game industry, but it's just damn near impossible to cover every single positive story everywhere. And, whenever others are covering it, exactly the same, right? Unless you have like a network, and maybe that happens someday with us. Maybe we blow up and we have the Insider Gaming Network and we're just freaking everywhere, essentially, right? Have a huge team. But, and then there's times where, like you said, Mike, you reach out, you ask about a game, you ask about news and information on it, and like you said, you hear crickets. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna, move on then. It's just like you can't have your cake and eat it too. I feel like at the end of the day,
You brought up the negative coverage. I can use another example of it from me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember writing when I was a sports writer. I'd write columns on I was literally a sports columnist. Player would sign, show faith in an organization, in the NHL specifically. I write a column about, how this just shows he trusts the organization. Things are looking good. This, my opinion on, I think things are heading in the right direction. And that gets crickets. A week later, I write something about how I think a coach should be fired and blows up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well,
It's
why am I
wild.
not going to just do that then? Like that, I got to pay bills. I have bills to pay. I'm not trying to sit there and go, be the BuzzFeed, number 5 will surprise you top constantly, that type of like literal clickbait stuff. But certain topics just do well. And you kind of have to make that executive decision.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
Just on the point of no rumors, I'm going to come in a bit hefty here and say there is going to be a section, because last week I said, and it didn't get picked up on Reddit, so I'm going to try again. I said there was another Rainbow Six game coming, and we'll have more on Insider Gaming soon. So
You did get
Did I?
picked up. I saw someone talking about that somewhere. Someone somewhere.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
not on
On
Reddit.
Reddit.
Not on
Reddit's the
Reddit,
one,
no.
and
I
we
mean,
need
No.
someone
we need this
somewhere.
podcast.
We need to get Tom needs to keep his top leaker status
Yeah, that's it. Number one.
on Reddit. That's what
Oh,
needs to
yeah.
happen.
Tier
Yeah,
one,
but we're going to
man.
have a few nice stories coming up.
Keep that cloud up.
A few nice stories in the next few weeks on some big games. Maybe one is Battlefield.
Uh-oh.
Nah,
You can't just say that kind of stuff, man. You'll make them go feral, man.
I think I think we're going
already
to hear
are.
about Battlefield very soon.
I mean, we got
Well, I should hope
what
so.
we got coming up. We had Forza Horizon 5 coming to PS5. That
Mhm.
announcement was today, April
Yeah.
25th.
Mhm.
Dude, these next couple months are going to be huge because there's still the rumors and everything I hear point to it that Indiana Jones on PS5 is happening in April.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
then that's going to get a big uptick in sales there.
And something
So-
that I'm excited about that's coming. This is a tangent because no one else cares about it except for me. But it looks like Ghost of Hope has put on Twitter, the Call of Duty stuff again. Verdansk is looking like he said March 20th, and season 3 starts
Yeah.
March 20th. That means nothing to you guys because you don't even sniff Call of
Well,
Duty.
if you was familiar with
Verdansk-
Insider Gaming coverage, we was some of the first
Yeah.
people to cover that. It wasn't Hop.
we were indeed.
It wasn't
yeah,
Hop. It
that's
was us.
like way back. Well, no, I'm talking about this one, like minutes ago.
All right.
You know,
I've often.
we knew it was coming years
Yeah.
back, but
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
not.
I think Call of Duty is a
I'm
good
just not
franchise to me.
interested in it.
It's completely
Yeah.
good.
man, I'm like daily right now. I've got an absolute grind for it right now. I'm a fool.
Are you on multiplayer or?
I'm multiplayer. I haven't played Warzone since I got my Guinness World Record in 2021, which I
what?
never ever
Quickest
stopped
death?
talking about.
He's flexing.
Quickest death. No, it was even less. It
Oh.
was the easiest record in theory you could ever hope to secure in the book. It was just a gaming marathon. And I just played and I played and I played Warzone for 38 hours without stopping. And do you know how many times I won in that 38-hour window?
Once.
Once. Literally once.
That's one more win than I'll ever get.
Yeah, just on Call of Duty as well, very quick. We do have a podcast appearance lined up with Charlie Olsen. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to do it because there
you go.
There is like 4
Bring
of
him
us
in.
and then 1 of him. So I don't know how that's going to work dynamically. I don't know if we're going to do it as a segment or what. We'll have to work that out behind the scenes. But if anyone does have any questions for Charlie, go over to the Insider Gaming forum and you can ask your question over there. We're only going to be answering questions from the forum, so don't tweet me or anything like that. I'm not reading it, man. You need to.
Yeah, and it's worth stressing that's to do with skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if
No,
you
I didn't.
said. I can't remember if in the sentences you're like, "Oh yeah, we've got a guest appearance from Charlie Olsen coming in." Like, about what?
Yeah. So very quickly, Charlie Olsen wrote the current MRR system in Call of Duty. So he wrote that in 2016. And it started with Infinite Warfare, and ever since it's been within Call of Duty. So he's currently seen as the big bad wolf of of Call of Duty. But I think, I mean, obviously, like it's easier to say like once you get to know him that you won't see that. But I think like humanize him a bit more is something that I'm very excited for people to see. And he seems to be probably one of the more open and transparent developers that I've ever talked to. And I think on a subject like this, it's going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people. I put quite a bit of it in the interview that we did on the website, but I made the rookie error of not recording the interview, so it was all based on memory. And we did like quite a lot of... we touched on quite a lot of other different things as well, but I think having that, I don't know if it's going to be, it might just be just the entire episode, right? Where we just talk about this. So we'll have to see, but if you ever got any questions, go over to the forum.
And with that, it's time to wrap up because we're gonna save trivia this week. We're
Double
gonna
rank?
save it
Oh, man.
for
We'll have
next
to roll-
week because
we'll-
we are way over time.
We'll have to roll the questions over. I had some banging.
We'll roll.
Yeah.
But we'll roll them over because I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, should we just do it? Should we wrap up the episode with trivia?
People love hearing us, man. Just long it out
All
a
right.
couple more minutes.
All right, you get a little bit of a bonus episode.
Come on.
Let's go.
We'll throw the standings up on the screen because AP is currently
Come
leading
on.
with a whopping 1.75 points.
Come on, y'all.
Grant is 1.5 points, and then I don't want to talk about me. I'm lulling in the back before my push at the end with half a point, and that's just because I got Super Mario 64 as a launch title on the N64 last week. But then you got AP coming in, keeping his lead by getting the boomerang with Zelda last week.
That's right.
So, AP, you're in first, so you get to continue to ask your question first.
Oh, I love it.
Tom, if you want to try and guess.
I'll try and guess.
Yeah,
I'll let you
leaderboard.
guys
Yeah.
try first, and then I'll come in with the 100%
With the
win
real answer.
rate. Yeah.
With the Google answer.
No comment.
I love it. All right, so this was an easy one for this week, guys. So, sticking with Nintendo here again. So, Super Mario Brothers 2 is actually a port of a Japanese video game. Name the game of which it was ported from.
Dude, this is pissing me off because I talk about this all the time and now I'm blanking. Super Mario Brothers 2. Oh man. Because the real Super Mario Brothers 2 was only released in Japan because it was too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because American. Oh my god.
Is it something obscure? Because
It is.
I'm calling BS on all these Nintendo questions, man. I'm automatically written off.
No.
Nintendo's got a rich history, Grant. Come on.
Yeah, man.
Dude, this is gonna bother me so much.
Well, I'm
I'll
out.
try to get a
I'm out.
Sony one next week. Oh, Grant's out.
I keep thinking Doki Doki Literature Club because that's all I know that's a more recent game.
Oh, you're literally on the cusp of it, Mike.
Oh my God.
We need a timer for these questions, man.
It's,
Yes, we
it's
do.
Doki Doki something.
It is correct.
Panic.
What is
Panic.
Tom got it. That's correct. See, Tom's on the leaderboard. There we go.
Oh, damn it. Tom just jumped me.
I was running a egg timer
no.
on the side, and you ran out of time. Sorry.
Oh, damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I'm so mad because I talk about that all the time. All right, Grant.
So
You're
I
not-
did say, I said
look
before the call,
shocked.
I have 2, right? So we can either do like double dipping, you can get 2 points, or you can just pick one. One is Fallout themed because we covered a bit of Fallout this week and there were some good stories. The second is The Last of Us themed because I absolutely adore it. So you guys can either have both or you can pick. Make up your minds. What you want to do?
I'm going to get either of them wrong, so I'm just going to go with Fallout.
Fallout. Okay, Fallout it is. We'll do Fallout. So this one, although the answer might be quite long, you only get 1 point for it because, you don't want to have a point for every individual. Anyway, Fallout, right? Everyone should know, if you're familiar with Fallout, you'll understand, you'll know what special is. Special, the acronym. It's how it's the things that indicate your in-game attributes. And it's been around since Fallout 1 in 1997. Special. But the question here for you guys is, what does special stand for?
I know this.
Oh my God.
You only get the
I've
point
seen
if
this
you
so many
name
times.
Everything. You
I
have to name them
know
all.
it. I finally got something, and if I'm wrong by a word, I'm going to be so pissed.
You have to get them all, man. Have to get them all.
Strength,
Strength,
perception,
perception,
endurance,
endurance,
charisma,
charisma,
intelligence,
intelligence,
agility, and luck.
and luck. There you go. All 7. That's it.
Fight me.
You got a point. Wow.
Here you
There you
go. Well done.
Fantastic
Mike.
stuff.
Well, I was waiting for this to be something so obscure. But like, there's this I know because it's just all the stats, all your attributes.
Yeah. Funny enough, the guy, one of the creators of Fallout, Tim Kaine, he did a video recently where he was talking about some of the origins of things, and he said that they put these stats on a piece of paper and they said, this is the kind of core stats that we want. And apparently he went into like a conference room with the guys and he was like, hey, did you know that spells out ace lips? He was like, we should call it ace lips. And it wasn't until afterwards they were like, yeah, but it also spells out special. They were like, yeah, that sounds better. We'll
Ace
go with
lips
that.
is kind of funny though.
Ace lips.
All right,
Nice fun fact.
mine, like I said earlier before we hopped on, mine is meme focused. One of the earliest memes of the common internet era. There's a meme. All your base belong to us. What is the name of the video game?
I can
that's
picture
from-
I can picture the screenshot.
What?
The
Can
guy.
you say it again? What is it?
All your base belong to us.
You know what? I'd have to say I don't know. I know the image, the meme, the phraseology of it. I could see the picture in my mind. Just could not tell you what game that's from. No idea.
I got
It's available. Today I learned when I was double checking the name of the game. It's available on Steam now, and it's might be something I buy for $7 because
Is it
it's not even that great of a
franchise or
game.
one shot?
It's not even that great of a game. It's
Franchise
just,
or one shot?
I believe it's a one-shot game.
Oh man, no idea. I can't remember at all. I think we're both out.
Tom, do you know it?
Tom,
Is it
come on.
Zero Wing?
oh my God! It is
yes!
Zero Wing. How'd you figure that out?
Google.
Deleting my browsing history.
No.
Yeah, a game that came out in the arcades in 1990 in the US. It isn't old, but it became because it was a translation error. All your base belong to us.
What was the one with
That's a
the
good one.
translation error? I think it was like a Japanese baseball game or something, and they want to have like American sounding names. And they had like a sheet of these names that they thought, and the names were like Sleeve McDykel and things like that. And they just had these like, oh man, it was absolutely hilarious. If you just type in like Japanese baseball game funny names or something, you'll get it. And some of these names are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna have to look it up because that might be the trivia question next week. I don't know.
Oh man, it's so good.
It might be, but at least I move up a point.
There
And that,
you
you know
go.
what? That makes me. That's a really good way to end this. That's a fantastic way to end this week. So we will. Where, AP, we go through this all the time. Where can the people find you?
Of course, absolutely. You guys can check me out over on YouTube. Check me out at the Weekly Wrap Up over there. Check me out. I'm also on X. I'm on IG. I'm on Blue Sky at Albert Perkins. Go ahead and hit me up over there, guys. Appreciate the support.
Mr. Nukov.
Well, that's it. You said it. That's it. Everywhere. Nukov, TikTok, Twitch, X, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. Nukov. That's it. You type it in, you'll see me. You'll see my face because I use my face on everything, every picture. You can't get me confused with some, I don't know, what are they? Some Swedish club music band or something called Nukov. I don't know where they come from, but that's not me.
Either, but
that's
sure?
not me.
Is that your alter ego?
That's
maybe that band is your mask, kind of like Tom and his his baklava, that you'll never see his face unless, you know what? I'm gonna say it while he's sitting here. Get us to 1 million subscribers on YouTube in 2025.
Man,
we're only, we're not even near there. Nowhere close. We're not even at 100K yet. Get us to 1 million.
I'll do it. I'll do a webcam at 100K.
There we go. Get us our play button.
Yeah, silver play button, baby. Let's go.
Silver play button, and he'll do a webcam where it's just him in the baklava.
Oh, man, you should have said that. That's what I was gonna do.
Okay, then it's not. It's actually his face, but it's like
do the thing where you have the balaclava and you pull it off, and it's another balaclava.
Yeah, can I see? I don't know why I keep calling it a baklava.
I know. I was
because I'm just fat. Man. Apparently, I'm just really fat, and all I think about is food. I type it, I say it, I refuse to call it what it is. But damn, if we do Insider Gaming merch, I want an Insider Gaming themed one, and pastry. That is, I want an Insider Gaming themed pastry. And on that note, you could find me, Mike Straw Media. You can find Tom. Tom, do you want everybody to find you? Everybody knows where you are. Yeah, Mr. Tom.
They know me.
They know you. POP.
Look for the red snowmobile. That's where I'll be. The red snowmobile that strikes fear into every developer's hearts.
They apparently think that's what's going to be when you're seen in public. You're riding that.
I did in Vegas. To get the news. I was going down the strip on it. Yeah.
Just spying at people, see conversations, throw your little ear sensor in. You actually have supersonic hearing. Find us at Insider Gaming IG on Twitter, at Insider Gaming, insider-gaming.com on Blue Sky, at Insider Gaming IG on YouTube. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We go live every Friday. Insider-gaming.com/subscribe for the newsletter. We're just hitting you all at once. Until next time, we will see you. I don't know. I usually give it to AP. I did this time.
You did. You tricked me.
I blanked. I screwed it all up. AP, take it away.
See, this is why you got to hand it over to the pro, bro. For Grant, for Mike, for Tom, I am, of course, your host with the most A to the P, Albert Perkins, and we will see you guys on the inside.
Baklava!
Is this going to be a running theme now? We're just going to get a scream at the end of every episode.
Something at the end, yeah.
I like it.